Yo, what's up, man? You look super bummed out.
I've just been training so hard and I've just finished that 2K. I was close to my PB, but I've been hitting the same score the last 5 2Ks I've done.
Oh man, you're just obviously not doing enough. Just more steady state. It'll fix all of your problems, get you all the girls, get you jacked, get you shredded, get you pulling a sub 5-minute 2K, and you'll be sorted for life. Oh my goodness, just do more steady state.
Hello YouTubers and welcome to another episode. Just having a little bit of fun there, but basically today I want to address the amount of people that have been asking me questions about how do I get faster, and the amount of times I've seen the response to that question, just do more steady state and you're guaranteed to be faster and it's going to fix all of your rowing problems. Well, unfortunately, just doing more steady state is not the answer. But, caveat, it might be the answer, and that's the difficult thing. So over the past couple of weeks, I've been talking quite a bit about training and training intensities and training amounts, and I think there's a little bit of confusion there as well with, okay, well, there's those training intensities, just boost the volume sky high. Well, there are plenty of different ways to train, and I'm just going to be talking about today how sort of my experiences and how they've affected me. But just because they may have worked for me doesn't mean they're going to work for you. So I recommend taking what I say and then doing your own research, seeing what works for you and works for your personal type of athlete. You might be a different type of athlete to me, and then seeing just the right mix of, say, training intensities, training volumes to get the best out of yourself. Because when you can take it into your own hands, you can really get some great benefits to give yourself that self-motivation and see those scores crumble. But we're going to head into the training zones and training volume. So over the past couple of weeks, like I said, been talking about training intensities, and it's all about getting those training intensities right for you. When I'm talking about my UT2, it is on the lower end of intensity. It is on that lower band between 60 and 70% of my maximum heart rate, not heart rate reserve, my maximum heart rate. And I'm able to do that lower intensity because my volume is reasonably high. For you, you might not have enough time to do enough volume to then be able to get the benefits of that lower intensity. You still will get benefits of doing the low intensity with a lower volume, but not perhaps the benefits that you may be looking for. The question then arises, well, we're in isolation, I've got loads of time, how much mileage do I need to do to feel the benefits and go as fast as I possibly can and get all those cardio gains so your body can deal with that oxygen the best it can? Well, unfortunately, again, it's completely down to you. Partly, you can't just say, okay, well, 200k is a good... Well, unfortunately, it is down to you and how your body reacts. Say you're used to doing 20k a week, and then you say, okay, more steady state this week, you do blow out 200k the next week of training. Excellent job, 200k is a fantastic amount of miles, some Ks, but from going 20k to 200k or a lower, relatively low volume to a high volume, you run the risk of just burning yourself out. What you want to do is look at that progressive overload. So say you're at 20k a week right now, you're feeling good, you want to do more. Well, you boost it up a little bit, 25k, 30k, and by week you climb up the ladder, and then you eventually get to 100 plus k a week, of course, depending on what you're doing around training as well, which can also feed into tiredness, fatigue, that you have to take into account when doing the training. But hopefully by training in the right training zones, that fatigue will be taken into account, so you'll be training at the right intensities while also doing things around training, which will impact those zones, if that makes sense. But that's a whole nother video about training around sort of a busy schedule. But since we're in isolation, the majority of us are generally sitting or able to sit on the machine and do more miles than usual. We're going for sort of this approach. Anyway, I digress. Back to progressive overloading. The approach is the idea that you just gradually build up the mileage to make sure that you can cope with said mileage. You can't just jump up a great amount and then think, okay, this is going to be the fix of all my things. And that's where I think the biggest issue for me is when people say, just do more steady state. Well, it's one, a question of how much, which I can tell you is say week to week, say 10 to 20% more than you were doing in the previous week. So that gives you a sort of guide, and then eventually, just like when we're doing weights, I can add a kilo, say every 2 or 3 days to if I'm doing squats or deadlifts, whatever it is. Over a training block, you may have added 40 kilos to that squat or deadlift, but day to day, you're only adding a kilo, half a kilo, 2 kilos here and there, which doesn't feel like much. So your body doesn't get as stressed over the week, but over the whole block, the stress really builds up and you end up doing a massive, or the idea is you do a massive PB at the end of the block, not midway through or at the beginning. So when you do here, just do more steady state, really look at the idea of, okay, well, more steady state is a fantastic idea. And as I've spoken about getting sort of the UT2 right for you, getting in the right training zones, it is awesome for you building your aerobic base, because that's basically the idea. You build your aerobic base and then you can go to higher peaks, which is really, really important, but it does take a lot of time and it's not something you can do overnight, which I think some people can struggle with, where say, okay, I've got 2K in 2 weeks, I'm going to do loads of steady state in these 2 weeks and it's going to help me. And that brings me to my other point of when you do a lot of steady state and say you're improving, you've got the intensity right, you've got the training zones, you've been doing a good amount, you've progressively overloaded, you're not overtraining, and then you think, well, my steady state splits have dropped, say 5 splits, and you're feeling really good, really fit, and then you go and do a 2K and it's not changed. It's not got much faster, it's not got much slower, but it's just kind of stayed the same. Well, just because you've done a lot of steady state, just because you went, I've just boosted my numbers sky high and I'm feeling great, doesn't mean your 2K automatically will get better, because you've been working on steady state for however long and a 2K is not steady state. So like I've talked about before, your aerobic base is down here, this level here, and your 2K is sort of this level up here, the peak of the pyramid. And so just because this base is now huge, now you have to add on top of that the work that you'll be doing in the 2K itself up at this peak. And so that's a case of, okay, you've had a massive training block, you've done great mileage, you're in the right training zones, you've progressively overloaded, you're not overtraining, you've fueled right, you're feeling really fit. Then just before the 2K, and again, it kind of depends on you, I generally, about 3 weeks before the 2K, shift up the program a little bit to get used to that 2K, because again, your body is used to that aerobic training. It's not used to the amount of lactic acid that builds up in a 2K. It's not used to just, oh my goodness, the burning that happens during a 2K. So your body has to get used to that again. Unfortunately, the time it takes for your body to get used to that burning sensation, the dealing with lactic acid, is much, much quicker than building your aerobic base. I've spoken to a couple of physiologists and they reckon it's in the matter of weeks rather than the matter of months. So even a couple of weeks, few weeks before you have a big test, you shift the program down into high intensities rather than that long distance mileage stuff. You get used to doing, say, 500s, 1Ks, 250s, those workouts where you wish, oh my goodness, I want to stop, but you keep pushing, not blowing up, but you keep pushing. And then eventually, once those workouts feel pretty good, so even if you did, say, 2 high intensities a week for 2 weeks, and then you felt the difference between sort of that first workout and that last workout, that difference in, okay, I'm actually feeling like I can push on in these intensities, you'll probably be ready to fire away at that PB, whether it's a 1K PB, a 2K PB, a 4 minute, a 5K, whatever it is, and hopefully you will smash those scores. And so, wrapping it all up, yes, steady state is a great tool, but unfortunately, it is not the solution to everybody's problems. Some people will react much better to doing just steady state. Some people will already have that massive aerobic base, so will just creep forward. And then again, when you're heading towards that PB distance that you want to get, it's not just a case of, okay, I'm feeling great, I'm feeling fit on the steady state, time to blow out a fast 2K, put down all that YAM. It's a case of you need to prep for that as well. So as always, it's a case of working on what works for you individually. And for me, really a big thing is working on my aerobic base, that low intensity zone from 60 to 70%, maybe 150 to 200k a week. And then when I approach the 2Ks, putting in workouts like 500s, like 1Ks, and that's what works for me. But maybe for you, you're a lot more aerobically fit, so you might have to push that top end work a bit more to get the same benefits that I might get from pushing the bottom end out wider, if that hopefully makes sense. But let me know in the comments below what you think, Yam Squad. I've just been there's been so many questions about this subject, about how much steady state do I need to do, how long do I have to wait until I see improvements, and again, that one depends where you're coming from, depends where you are. But we have all this time in isolation, so if erging is how you spend it and improve your fitness, improve your scores, that would be absolutely fantastic, and see how far the YAMSQUAD can go. But even if it's not, using our time well to see how far we can push ourselves in other aspects of our lives. And as always, YAMSQUAD, before I yammer on anymore, remember to subscribe if you haven't already, hit that like button, and I will see you tomorrow for another episode. Oh yeah!